Only time y'all see me in Rays is when I turn into the Bronze Bomber.
The United States trying to get opponents. I think that the fans are going to keep pressing them for me to fight him. I think that he got to be very careful on which his steps here in America. I think that he can't just come to America thinking that he could just fight any old body without my name being mentioned. Every interview I get asked about Dillian Whyte, and I've been, trolling him for quite some time. And I feel like my fans have been trolling him for quite some time. And I think that he has to be very careful if he's trying to make a American debut, to lay his feet on this land and without reconciling with the bounty hunter. You feel me? So there might be a bounty on his head real soon, a price, a real price. There's already a bounty out. It just ain't had no price tag on it. So,
I mean, what do you have to do to get that fight, do you think?
Lose an arm. I think that, and I still think he might not take it.
Those are the words of Micheal, bounty hunter, as he explains that Dillian Whyte has to tread softly when he comes to American shores. And he thinks that Dillian Whyte, the only way Dillian Whyte will fight him is, like he said, lose an arm, which I would translate that into being injured or something compromising that would allow Dillian Whyte to fight Micheal Hunter. My thoughts on Micheal Hunter and Dillian Whyte, I think that would be a good matchup for a lot of reasons. For one, Micheal Hunter is a small heavyweight. Dillian Whyte doesn't respect small heavyweights. You can tell by the way he talks about Alexander Usyk. Before even Usyk came to heavyweight, he was saying the same things like, hey, I don't think he belongs here. He'll get beat up here. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to come up anywhere up in heavyweight, and that alone tells me Dillian Whyte don't respect Alexander Usyk. So if Micheal Hunter and Alexander Usyk are around the same size, he doesn't respect Micheal Hunter. Now, the thing about Micheal Hunter and getting realistically, pragmatically getting a fight with Dillian Whyte is slim to none. Why? Because I think that someone like Eddie Hearn, and we've noticed that Eddie Hearn dealing with guys that he used to once deal with, I don't see him fighting Micheal Hunter, because I think the reasons why they separated is because he expected more out of Micheal Hunter and he didn't get what he expected out of Micheal Hunter. Now, and based off what Micheal Hunter did after Eddie, he really hasn't showed Eddie anything different than what he's been doing. Yeah, he had a great performance, which he should have. He took on and knocked out Michael Wilson, I think, round 4 with a counter right, which was great. It was a solid knockout, and I'm glad that he spared that man an ass whooping when knocking him out on his back. Okay, I'm glad that he did that because he got his check. Let him go home. 38 years old. He's 40 years old. Okay, you know what I mean. He's in my age bracket now, so you don't need that type of beating. But what did Mike Wilson do to help him get a fight with someone like Dillian Whyte? Dillian Whyte is the WBC interim heavyweight champion. So it's easy to match these guys up, but the politics behind that, if Micheal Hunter would have showed Eddie Hearn, or really everyone else himself, that, hey, I can take on these top fights. I can get these top fights. I can do this without Matchroom or without Eddie Hearn. I can show you guys that I do bet on myself and I will come out on top. As of now, he's shown he can still get fights. He's joined Triller and all that good stuff. He's got paid for a easy fight, right? But at the end of the day, that easy fight doesn't convey or warrant a fight with Dillian Whyte. It doesn't. And it doesn't show Eddie Hearn anything either. See, one thing you have to understand, if you, give you an example. If you leave a company, an established company, and you go work for somewhere else, and you go work for another place that's not making the money that you made at this one place, but you got less stress, right? You got less stress, you got less drama, you got less BS and all that. You got that where you were at now. But are you making any noise where you're at? You may have peace, but do you have the respect? Okay, so when anyone at your old job, the big established job, do they have the respect for you there where you're at? Have you made enough noise to be like, hey, you know, so-and-so, you hear about Michael, he went over here and he's doing big things in the sport or wherever, you know, or any Joe Blow goes to another company and says, hey, man, you hear he's really doing good over there. You know what I mean? It hasn't even got back to someone like that bigger company, okay, being with the smaller company, okay? Triller and Matchroom, those guys, like, they're like this, okay? So when Michael Hunter left there, he betted on himself, but not every time you bet on yourself don't mean you're going to come out successful, okay? Now, let me say this. If Michael Hunter would have decided to keep and fight Hrgovic, in my opinion, he would have been and beat Hrgovic. Let's say he would have whooped Hrgovic, undefeated Hrgovic, like he did this guy, Mike Wilson, okay? If he would have done that, he would have been on that way to fighting someone like Dillian Whyte. Because then you're like, okay, you draw it with Povetkin. A lot of people thought you won. Then you go in against Hrgovic, which is undefeated. Then you take him out. No one has done that. Nobody wanted even to fight this cat, okay? But see, here's the thing. You don't want to start dismissing fights with fighters that are already avoided. And that was Michael Hunter's problem, I believe. Counterpunching Michael Hunter. I think him then fighting other guys like Dillian Whyte, okay, well, the first thing people are going to talk about and think, the first thing comes to mind is, you didn't fight Hrgovic. So why would you want Whyte and you didn't fight Hrgovic? You had the Hrgovic fight. You're going to get more money out of that pie. So a lot of people start looking at that, especially business-wise. And then even based off his talent is based off the business decisions that you do, you know. And a lot of times I use the word politics, but this is business too. You know, and especially someone like Whyte that's already established, you already know how he thinks. He's thinking like, oh, well, Charles Martin's a bum to me. So if you think Charles Martin or former champion's a bum, what are you going to think about Michael Hunter? Counterpunch. So with him saying that Dillian Whyte might not want to fight him, Michael Hunter, I think he's too good for his own good. Meaning, if they took a fight with Michael Hunter, you know, based off that guy had drawed with Povetkin, and Povetkin knocked out Dillian Whyte when he was pre-COVID, okay? So you got to look at all that. Why would you want to make a fight with that guy? That guy is not a guy that you really want to fight because, for one, Michael Hunter is not known like that here. He's known in boxing circles, sure, but he's not an Andy Ruiz. He's not a Charles Martin. He's not a Dillian Whyte. He's not those guys. He's a guy good enough that you go around and fuck around and fight him. He might beat you, but here's the deal. Why would you even go through that? Especially someone like Dillian Whyte, like, oh, I'm waiting for my opportunity because I'm in court with the WBC, hopefully to get my opportunity that I've worked my ass off to get. So fighting someone like a Michael Hunter, back to what Michael Hunter was saying, well, hey, he may need to tread softly. He may need to. Because if you go in there and you fight someone that's dangerous or you really don't know how this fight's going to go, that has good boxing ability, speed, like Michael Hunter. And really, honestly, I haven't seen anyone that has fought Dillian Whyte like Michael Hunter. Okay? Because Oscar Rivas is more of a plotting fighter with a half executed Mike Tyson style, which that's why I think he needs to go with Mike Tyson and all that. But you guys know how I feel about that. But other than that, he never had a real quick mobile fighter in front of Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has a great jab. He's a good fighter. But someone that's elusive could give him problems. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Michael Hunter stating that Dillian Whyte does not want to fight him and would not fight him and he's ducking him. Tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe and you guys may counterpunch. Peace.